Yeah, my name is Irais. I started Sin Titulo alongside my two sisters in
Mm,
2020. Um, so family-owned operation based here in Chicago.
mm,
Very much started off with shirts, especially during the pandemic. It was a time of one, the communication aspect with strangers and
mm,
just your loved ones was very scarce. But then another layer going on with social justice and just really being cooped up with your own minds and thoughts.
mm,
So instead of like, I found myself in a position of like constantly repeating myself on social justice
mm,
or cultural ties that I have with my identity. And I was just strained mentally and physically strained from
physically.
repeating myself. Um, that I was like, what's an outlet that I can utilize on an everyday basis?
Mm,
And what I really honed in on was apparel. So really having the apparel do the talking um, for us without straining our voices.
mm,
And that's kind of where it started off. My sisters alongside also had the same mindset. So individually, we had um, this want and this desire in the market to really um, have what Sin Titulo was providing that previously no one that we saw was truly
mm.
honing in on, like unapologetic designs
Yeah.
for us, made by us. And so our first shirt honestly took 2 hours to make. It was with our cousin. It was the longest process because like we knew we wanted to do this, but like knowing how to do apparel was something brand new to us.
Mm,
Um, and we started very like rinky dinky, like in terms of like no website, no
mm,
we had an email, but it was like DM us on Instagram to order. Like it was so low
mm,
budget. And that's how kind of how we wanted to start off was like test out the waters and then keep on growing momentum. And our
mm,
first launch, I think I was on my way to like vacation. So I
mm.
honestly had like zero thought of it blowing up as much as it did.
Okay.
Um, so just to get the love and support from our friends and loved ones has been amazing. And I love how the transition at first was a lot of faces that I knew. And then slowly as we
Mm,
started growing, we started seeing new faces. So just
mm.
to see our most recent event, I walk in and I'm like, I don't know 90% of these people. So that's a blessing. Just to see how our brand relates to so many new
Mm.
faces as well as our loved ones.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I want to ask you because you said you were talking about like 2020. Is that when you launched your first the first launch or
Mhm. So
was it
officially launched August of 2020, but then I
August
believe
2020?
our first like drop was September, so the following month.
Mm. And how did you guys? Because you said that you did like the first like shirt in a 2 hour process, but how did like even before that were you guys already like doing your research on like the type of brand, not the type of brand, the type of material, the type of t-shirts, like everything that goes to actually execute the whole business, the whole clothing apparel?
Honestly, I feel like TikTok really helped a lot with
Mm.
that, and I somehow I got on like business entrepreneur TikTok early on,
Mm.
and so I've seen a lot of videos of it, and I've always been a creative, um, like ever since I was little. So I would always go like to Hobby Lobbies and the Michaels and all that.
Mm.
So I already had that sort of background,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe I got asked this before, but I used to make shirts for myself. Like I used to
Mm.
hot glue designs, and then I would peel them, stick them on a shirt, and then spray paint them. So then it would
Oh.
have that kind of effect. So I completely forgot that I used to do shirts myself. Um, but in terms of like material, not necessarily. However, early on, we did have a few events where it was an interactive event where people could come in, make their own shirts.
Mm.
However, they got to pick out the colors, the
Yeah.
shirt types. So we had different types of shirts, one that was branded with like Champion on it, a lower tiered budget, or like a nicer, higher quality shirt. So then we
Mm.
kind of let the consumer help us in that process and be like, oh, I really
Mm.
like this shirt. I really like this colorway. I like this design. So
Yeah.
that was like one, like the customer loves it because they get to customize it and really make
Yeah.
Sin Titulo theirs. But then for us, I was like, that's great research and market data for us. So it was definitely a learning experience with um, the materials and all of that.
Okay. And you said like you started like since the beginning, like doing those events, like the do it yourself events. Like how,
Mhm.
like with those events, how did you like plan it? Because you know, like there's like a lot of times where people want to do these type of things, like, but how do I do it? Like, how do I figure out? Like for you, how was that process? And it was and this was with your sisters too, right?
hmm
Yeah. So how
Um,
was that?
I'm the type of person to not necessarily have all the answers, or I just make things work at the end. So when a lot of people are like, "Oh, I wish I could start a business," um, but I don't know how. I'm like, no one essentially knows how. So if you were waiting to be 100% ready to have all the materials and all the resources and whatnot, you'll never be ready. It's a learning
Yeah.
process. So you kind of just, I'm a person to just kind of like go in, I'll set a date and I'll tell everyone, I'm like, okay, that's my accountability to make this happen. So in terms of venue, it was outside of our courtyard in our apartment. Um, the shirts were made up here because we have materials like machinery that requires a lot of electricity, but downstairs was where everyone was able to look at our books, and we had like a little we had a DJ, we had some games out, but
Oh
literally
wow.
like going to Target and getting like a bag set for people to play with. The DJ was a friend, so then we connected with her. We made like a little DIY like drink station. But honestly, like we just used our front yard, not even that much decoration. Kind of thought of a process. And honestly, in terms of the logistics, because you're making all the shirts by hand, that was a learning curve for us. So then, honestly, what was the best policy was doing an event, learning from that, and then doing better on the next one and the next one.
Yeah.
Um, and then in addition, really having our friends and family like help out. Because it was a lot for two people. Like my sister was the one making the shirts. I was the one kind of hosting and like explaining the process to everyone. And then we
Yeah.
realized we needed someone to help with the bar and the drinks. And then we needed other assistance with just like I needed an assistance with all the shirts and not messing up everyone's orders and just staying on track. So like I said, it's a learning experience. I
Yeah.
feel like the best way is to kind of have like a shell of what you want and possibly some assistance outside of like your business and just learn from it each and every time. And people understand. We never really got anyone of like, oh, like you took X amount of time.
Too long.
Everyone they know that we're giving them a shirt that they selected in real time. So at the end of the day, everyone was happy on both sides.
Oh, that's awesome. So when you were starting, because I was going through, I I think you have two social medias, right? Like one for Sin Titulo and then one like personal, but you also
hmm
like promote your stuff. But I saw that you didn't like started posting until like 2021, but that was also like not as consistent, at least from what I saw. But I saw that you also had like a lot of success, like you're already doing like events and stuff like that. So how are you, was it mostly like word of mouth, promoting your business, the clothing apparel?
Definitely Instagram has been our bread and butter
Yeah, because
of
I was looking at TikTok.
yeah,
Yeah.
TikTok. So TikTok was a way for me to just like get to watch TikToks. I didn't even want anyone to know I had a TikTok at first. Um, so then I remember, I think my sister Diana, she has our business one, but no, TikTok, we honestly I just started posting. I think I posted one video and it kind of blew up. And I saw that there was like a market for us to be on that platform, but to be honest, TikTok kind of gives me anxiety sometimes with like posting and just making sure like a video is perfect. I'm like, you know what? People don't really care if it's perfect. We're
Yeah.
on Instagram, that one we've been posting on consistently. That's always like our go-to.
Yeah.
And how we connect people to our website is usually like if we have an event, we're like, okay, link in bio to RSVP. And then that's how we get them to our website. So our
Yeah.
website and our Instagram are kind of like tied in together.
Okay, that makes yeah. Because I didn't really check your Instagram because I'm more in TikTok. So for me, it's like okay, like usually when I find people that I want to have on my podcast, it's like through TikTok. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, now I have to go
Mhm.
check your Instagram. So everybody who's listening, go check out Instagram instead, and their website. Okay, I have another question because in the TikTok you also mentioned how or you did a video where your mom makes the beanies, like handmade beanies.
Hmm.
How did that start? Like how did your mom became part of that of like your business?
Yeah. So growing up, my mom always made us these hats or these
Mm-hmm.
little like winter headbands.
Mm.
Um, and then when it was Christmas time, my mom would always ask like, "Oh, what are your friends' favorite colors?" So she just loved giving them out
Mm.
and loved making them. So that was her little creative outlet. Just in terms of like, she really couldn't monetize on it. She's like,
Mm.
"But it makes me happy." So um, that's what we kind of grew up on. And I don't know essentially how the beanies came in, but maybe I don't know, but I just knew. And I think my mom also knew. She was like, "Hey, like I see that you guys are doing so well with this. Like if you
Mm.
want, like I could have my beanies." Just like a typical mom. Like she's like, "Let me
Yeah.
know where I could help."
Oh.
And then we first implemented the beanies, which is so nice, and she gets so excited when someone buys one.
Oh.
Um, and then she also makes the flags that are
The
behind me.
awesome.
And these are really one of our like best sellers in terms of
Mm.
like, especially just knowing that my mom like handmade this and she didn't even know how to make these flags prior. So like the beanies,
It was like her
she's modified
expertise.
and perfected, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the banderas, I was like, Mom, like I really want to sell something similar that kind of represents our blended culture.
Mm.
She's like, I'll figure it out. And she figured it out and now she can whip through them like left and right.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
that's how a layer of just like not only like generational wealth for myself and my sisters, it's now like my parents are also beneficiaries of our brand, which is a beautiful thing.